that suck, but also whatever cooks. But if you give us too much shit, we'll just get pissed off and quit. So don't do it. It's time for Marvel Comics Spotlight Show, telling you everything that we know. It's time for Marvel Comics Spotlight Show. Let's go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Marvel Comics Podcast, episode 84. That's Legacy 584. And I was planning on this episode to be on time and longer. It's neither, because scheduling things came up and still trying to find some people to do some extra books. And in the meantime, the holiday screwed things up, but also a couple of people were supposed to record for the first time. And they bailed. One, I don't even know what happened. They never got back to me. I messaged them. They never returned the message from them. So it didn't go well. This kind of happens. There's growing pains when you try to, record with some new people or expand some things. We'll nail it down. So this week, though, I apologize, especially because it's late, but also because of the couple books that we're doing. And in fact, as I'm recording it now, I have to put up the Weird Dose of X podcast. And obviously the regular podcast comes out before that, days before. But now I end up where I almost scrapped it. I was getting so frustrated, but I didn't. We're going to do this. I always save the intro and things for that and the news for the last thing, so now I have to record that quick. But in the meantime, next week we will have a lot more books on the podcast. We'll get back to what hopefully people are enjoying as a more expanded show. It's just, little growing pains is what this episode should be called. I might even call it that because it is really, really frustrating for me. But we're going to go now to the news. Again, I apologize. I hope that people enjoy what we got here. I barely remember what we have, because what you'll end up hearing when we do the reviews, me and Matt, we actually recorded it over a week ago. It's a week and a day now. I don't even know what we talked about. I don't even know what was going on. So with all that, I apologize, and off to the news.
The news.
And it is time for the news. We have one news item. It's not quite breaking news because it's a couple days old, just like this podcast is a couple days late. So I won't hit the, breaking news story, but this is right from a Marvel press release. And the title is The Marvel Swimsuit Special Returns. So basically they're yelling, hey, Creepos, it's back. Creepos. I had a buddy who used to end up having like anime and video game characters, and he'd put them on his wall, and I would just sit there. I'm like, you could put like real ladies up there if you really wanted to. I mean, what are you doing here? And he's like, I like them. I'm like, okay, Creepo. That's what I called him. He was on steroids back in the day, and actually now is like an official trainer of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So basically, if I did call him a creepo, he would have beaten the living crap out of me. So I did say it. He probably did beat the living crap out of me because, that's how I am. But I wonder with this, where you have the Marvel Swimsuit Special, and I ended up seeing some people like, oh man, finally it's back. Yeah, this is great. When those same people were yelling that the Harley Quinn Fartacular was for fart fetish people, what are they then? The creepos? I don't know. You make the call. The legendary Marvel Swimsuit Special is back this July with your favorite heroes soaking up the sun in Marvel Swimsuit Special Friends, Foes, and Rivals #1. The one-shot also debuts designs for in-game costumes coming soon to Marvel Rivals. And I have never played Marvel Rivals. I've never seen what it is, but I think I'm an adult, so I don't need to do that. Plus, I think the game's for creepos. Here is the news story. Throughout the 90s, fans enjoyed a lighter side of the Marvel Universe in Marvel Swimsuit Special, an annual one-shot that featured breathtaking artwork of Marvel characters in beach attire and swimwear. We like both kinds, beach attire and swimwear. This unique and beloved special makes it a long-demanded return this July in Marvel Swimsuit Special Friends, Foes, and Rivals #1. And I mean, sometimes the creepos start yelling. I just want to keep saying creepos. I think it's funny, and I want people to get mad at me thinking that I'm pish-poshing this because, whatever. I'm not. I'm just having fun. Settle down, creepos. I'm just having fun. Primarily an artist showcase. Marvel Swimsuit Special presented pinups from the industry's top talents in a magazine-style format. What is this? A Wikipedia entry? Complete with tongue-in-cheek. Or should I say tongue-in-cheeks is what I think it is. Articles and descriptions. Oh. Each year, a light-hearted plot brought the heroes to a different setting, from the jungles of the Savage Land to the shores of Monster Island. Yeah, the thin, they say light-hearted plot. It's thin as hell plot. That's basically, hey, let's go to the Savage Land and wear bikinis. Plot solved. There you go. See, I have a light plot and they end up Monster Island. That sounds like a monster opportunity to wear some monster killer bikinis. All right, Monster. Marvel Swimsuit Special Friends, Foes, and Rivals #1 continues the tradition with an overarching story written by Tim Seeley. Oh, yeah, that will be light. Seriously, and Tony Fleeks. See, this is the thing. Tony Fleeks, you're slumming it. You don't need to do this. You got other things. It's Tim Seeley, I see. I can see that. There you go. Tim Seeley, have at it. Have fun with your swimsuit story. I can give you my story, what I would do. Hey, we're in the Savage Lands and let's wear some bikinis. That's what I say. Drawn by superstar artist Nick Bradshaw, not Terry Bradshaw. The only thing that Terry Bradshaw draws is a crowd for his commentary. That stars Earth's mightiest fashion designer, Janet Van Dyne. Also, Janet, you're too big for this. Stop it. AKA The Wasp. In addition to Bradshaw, fans can look forward to unforgettable, instantly iconic imagery from top artists like Nick Klein. That'd be great if Nick ends up where there's like the She-Hulk, she's in a bikini, and then busting out of it is the Hulk who's ripping apart from the inside She-Hulk. That would be sexy as hell. Marguerite Savage, Luciano Vecchio, and more. The issue will also include designs for new costumes coming soon to the Marvel Rivals, the mega popular multiplayer video game from Marvel Games and NetEase Games. NetEase Games, people. And then they go again with the Swimsuit Special returns. Here we go. Roxxon Comics is added again. When will they ever stop? I mean, those Roxxon Comics, well, what do they think they are? I love the idea. This is stuff from that Immortal Hulk Al Ewing bullcrap. Roxxon Comics is added again when they release their own unauthorized swimsuit special. And that's the great way to play this off because you end up, you're Marvel. I'm the Marvel PR agent. And then some jerk off on Twitter goes, oh, I don't like this swimsuit special. I think it's for creepos. And also it objectifies both the women and the men. Who's winning here? And then I end up responding like, hey, jerk, it wasn't me. It wasn't Marvel. It's Roxxon Comics. Have it with them. They're not actually real. And then I just return, you're not real, jerk. That's what I say. Anything. See, if I'm the PR agent for Marvel, what I do is I just repeat what they say, the last thing, and throw it back at them. Right? Hey, I think that you're not doing your job well. Really? Because you're not doing my job well, jerk. You always say jerk, Phil. That really gives the emphasis on it. Oh, that Roxxon Comics. What are they up to nowadays? Wasp is on the case and seizes the opportunity for Marvel's heroes to do their own swimwear fashion shoot. So basically, this really plays off like a really odd Saved by the Bell episode where the kids there, Zag and Slater, they're all there and they want to end up doing the regular, swimsuit edition deal. But the girls, Kelly and all them, they're like, we don't want to do it. So then you have Slater go and they end up getting Screech. He's in the bikinis and they have their own unauthorized deal. And it sells like hotcakes because everybody wants to see Screech in a bikini. Where are we? Where's that? Who knows? Wasp is on the case and seizes the opportunity for Marvel's heroes to do their own swimwear fashion shoot all over the world. Because, it almost feels like they're pranking Roxxon then, but they're going to spend like $1 million all over the world. But fear not, true believers. I'm actually surprised it doesn't say all over the world and beyond. That'd be pretty good. You have, Sue's in the negative zone. Everybody's giving her the thumbs down and stuff. And isn't that the negative zone? But fear not. That's actually Reddit is the negative zone. There you go. Fear not, true believers. Excelsior. We know what you're really here for. Now I'm coughing. This supersized special features splash page after splash page of gorgeous art for all you creeps, but with a story so you can pretend you're reading it for the articles. Seriously, you're on the bus reading this, and don't read it on the bus. You're gonna get kicked off. But you're there and you're reading it, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on there? What are you looking at? You creepo." Also, it's the idea like you're looking at comic characters, so it's even worse in my mind. So you're there, and they're like, "Hey, what's going? Oh, I'm reading it for the articles. Really? Who's writing that said articles? Oh, it's Tim Seeley. Bullshit. Nobody reads Tim Seeley. Get off the bus. It's Tony Fleeks. Okay, get off the bus slowly." That's what they say. And then they're like, "Why is he slumming it on this?" And then you get off the bus, and now you're in Old Gance Avenue. They let you off at a really bad spot, and all you have is a swimsuit edition Marvel deal. And then some gang members come up and they're like, "Yo, what you got there? That looks cool. Tim Seeley." And then they start slicing you because they think you have no taste. And that's what really runs the gangs these days is taste. And I think. But that is it. So it then says, check out the main wraparound cover by Adam Hughes. And stay tuned for more information about Marvel Swimsuit Special Friends, Foes, and Rivals #1 in weeks ahead. I don't need to check that out. And then when does it come out? It comes out July 9th. So you have that. And just to go with the whole motif of what I'm talking about, the Virgin variant covers by Russell Dauterman. So you have that as well. Ooh-wee. I don't know. We're obviously not going to be reviewing this because it's just a bunch of pinups, but maybe we will. There's a couple books probably worse than this, so maybe we'll do it. And I do see the cover. I see Tony. I see She-Hulk. I don't know who these people are. I'm serious. Their hair's slicked back, all wet. They're there in the pool. I don't know. They look like they're having too much fun. I don't like people that have too much fun, so go to hell, all you creepos. But that is it for the news. I hope you enjoyed that one. And now we're going to go off to the books. And here I am with Matt. What up, Matt?
What up, Jim?
What up is the Godzilla. Godzilla, you're going to be my Sully this week. Not only because this would have usually been a book that me and Sully would have talked about. We talked about the first one with the Fantastic Four, which I like. But also because you're more positive than me, there's a little spoiler. And the reason why we're doing Godzilla versus Hulk and a book from last week is there was not a lot this week. And this is where I ended up where Joe was the one who really suggested or asked, can we expand, the lineup? And I really do want to. I want to. This is a tough week. This week where there's a couple, and I may have a book that I come in and do by myself. Maybe Gray will join me with one, but there's only like one or two other books that I even consider. And not just the idea, because he got it. He said to me, listen, I understand. And you get a lot of crap when you're negative, so you don't want to do that. This week, it's just numbers and books, and it's a rough week. So we will be talking about something I mentioned at the end of the last week's podcast, that I was going to go in and in this episode was going to do the Doctor Strange book, which I did try to get done last week. But then when we were kind of, messing around trying to figure things out, I asked you if you wanted to do it because we were going to do it.
Yeah,
you read it. We just ended up talking a while about Amazing Spider-Man. And in the meantime, I had read it too. And I liked it enough. So we'll get to that, even though it's hardly any sort of tie-in to One World Under Doom. But here is Godzilla versus Hulk. And for me, the biggest thing of this and the coolest thing is the logos at the start.
I like those.
That's awesome. I'd even like a shirt with that. And I really do like the variant covers of the verses. I think those are pretty cool, like the boxing posters. I think that's neat. But it is Jerry Duggan writing, Giuseppe Camuncoli on pencils, Danielle Orlandini on inks, Federico Blee colors, VC's Ariana Mayer on letters. One of the things about this book, you really get at one point, I thought all we were going to get of Hulk versus Godzilla action was the cover, because it takes a while before you do.
It's barely anything. It's more of a team up.
Yeah, it is. And what you get is Ross, you get the Thunderbolts, you get a couple things. It seems to be, late 70s, early 80s. There's some things thrown in, wink, wink, of kind of, hey, this is what's going on. And oh my God.
Well, he says the 80s are just around the corner.
Exactly. So it's
and we were just talking about Elvis too. He uses that as a reference.
We were. Yeah, there you go. So he has all this going, and I don't see speed mentioned.
No,
That
speed is nowhere to be
People are
found.
probably like, all of a sudden their ears go. It's like, what is he doing? Distance speed? I'm not. I just ended up getting in a fight about popularity through the ages, but it wasn't even me. It was another guy, but I stepped in. But when you get into this, I just think it takes too long for me to get to the actual stuff. And some of the things feels a little disjointed, a little more, I thought, than last issue, because you have Ross. He's there at the Thunderbolt Ranch. Everybody is, interviewing him. Hey, Ross, what's going on? Are you going to be able to take down that Godzilla thing? You probably have him already. And you have this other interviewer who does actually have a bit of an Elvis look.
He does look like him.
Right? Comes in, he's like, hey, Jackson Giles from the Daily Bugle, Texas.
See,
Excuse me.
I had a question about this. There's a Texas division of the
guess
Daily
there is.
Bugle.
I guess they're.
When did that get established?
Here's the weirdest play, though, too, in my mind. Thinking of things being expanded and thinking things. I usually go with radio and the deal like that. Like, this is even it's about to be around the time where, like, Howard Stern will end up going in different markets and things like this.
Yeah.
But late 70s like this, things were pretty much like really to the cities. You know what I mean? And you may have a Daily Bugle, it might be a name or whatever, but this is really pushing like there's multiple versions. I don't know about that. That seems odd, but there you go. It's weird to even do that. It would be kind of a cool play to have something different.
It's like
what
syndication. Syndication, you're saying, right? Basically.
Yeah, syndication. And that was more later. And one of the, pioneers of that would have been Howard. So you end up, and again, that's radio, but still, it's kind of, in my mind, the same deal. Now, companies may own a bunch of things, but it just felt kind of weird. But you end up where, out of nowhere, because I guess it's weird, a weird play with this, because he's like, hey, I hear that you have the Hulk in the basement alive at the Thunderbolt Ranch. And he's like, hey, jump in. And they get in this helicopter. I'm like, why are you doing this? And then it really doesn't do anything. It's just a weird play to start that I thought was odd. But you then go and you have that cool where you have old school deal Godzilla, and then you have the credits. So that is something that we have the Fantastic Four as well. But then you go down below, and the big play is mentioning Hulk's dead. Hey, Ross, you killed Hulk, and you did this. And then you even have, when you go down, Dr. Demonicus, who is big on, hey, I know what it's like to be a monster, doesn't know that Bruce Banner, who's there, is obviously.
I don't know if that is a new character or not.
Yeah,
Dr.
I don't know.
Demonicus.
It seems like I would guess it's not, but
it's pretty cool.
No, yeah, and the funny thing, the only thing that I don't like about these Thunderbolts, and again, being more of a DC guy, they look like the Challengers of the Unknown with those stupid jumpsuits, and they drive me nuts. But it's okay, and you end up where you have a real. I mean, they're doing a pretty good look, at least when you end up having somebody without a mask like Demonicus, giving that late 70s look.
Well, it looks like, I just Googled it, obviously, but Dr. Demonicus appeared in the 1970 to 79 Marvel Comics series Godzilla.
Okay, well, there you go. So he's more of a Godzilla guy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I'm glad you looked that up, because I would have just assumed he was a Thunderbolt. So yeah, you have Banner. You have these guys going down Demonicus, and they end up where Demonicus, it makes sense. I wish, actually, as you say that, kind of wish that you would have delved a little more into Demonicus to explain that he is probably a Godzilla expert, because everything is through him. And it says Dr. Demonicus devised a plan so devious that it sent chills down the spines of the other Thunderbolts. They had failed to kill Godzilla for years, and now Dr. Demonicus has enslaved an angry arachnid. So when you do that, like, I wish that they would have spelled out, he knows all this stuff because he fought Godzilla for 10 years, like the whole decade. That makes sense, because he does end up using some things that ends up trapping Mothra, and you use Kumunga to trap Mothra. Now, in that, I'm not the biggest, learned guy with, and I don't want Jason grabbing that, for the Godzilla stuff.
Yeah.
But I know Mothra, and I think everybody else does. So I'm like, all right, I get it. And Mothra freaks out, starts, pretty much screeching and scratching and yelling. And Godzilla is triggered and comes. This was to draw Godzilla out. So that works. And
because Mothra is like his friend, I guess.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, is I know enough. And again, I say I'm not a huge Godzilla guy, but I have seen enough that I know a little of the lay of the land. And I know that he would be upset when Mothra gets upset. But they even explain that. And he just shows up now in San Antonio, and he's starting to kick butt. even like, and then with that though, you end up Ross is like, hey, Samson. It's kind of funny that you have what appears to be
Doc Samson.
Doc Samson there flying the deal. Says, get the civilian clear and get me to the barn. I got to get to my Bronco. And so this guy who's the reporter, like, he did nothing. You know what I mean? Like, he ended up getting in the plane. And then you end up
smell you later, basically. So, that's
they
it.
go up. Godzilla attacks, and he jumps out. I mean, Ross jumps out and goes in a pretty badass way, parachutes through this opening door, very James Bond-esque, and then just goes and boom, he's in his Mecha Godzilla, and off they go. And it's him and Banner, and Demonicus is doing his thing. So I get why, I can see why you would like it. It's very much just, let's have a fight. Let's have all these people go. It's just the idea that some of the things, it gets a little bogged down, I don't know, with some extra dialogue and stuff and some explanations. And I don't like Ross in this that much, but it's okay. And Banner, the whole play is even Ross doesn't know. He thinks that Hulk's dead because they buried a body. We'll see. It was Rick Jones, it seems, later that
that was weird.
And when you end up where they figure this out, and Ross goes up and says to Banner, like, you actually duped us so that we would kill Rick Jones to bury him. And Banner's like, yeah. He's just kind of like, well, Hulk, he does crazy stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty intense. So you go with this whole play, and the deal, I guess, I mean, you're there, and it looks like they're trying to kill Godzilla, but then it seems like Demonicus goes a little bit over the top and really wants to kill him, and maybe they want to capture him.
You know what's weird, though, before you go on? Samson's the guy flying the helicopter, right? But he's also, the real Doc Samson is in the thing with Banner in that jumpsuit, because he has the green hair. So there's two Samsons. What are the chances of that?
Yeah, because there he is. I mean,
he's got the green hair, the glasses.
I guess the chances are 100%. He's there. Again, if you like the last issue went more, that felt like it would have been like a 60s. You have the Fantastic Four. It makes sense.
Maybe it's going by decade.
Even when they played those, like some of the deals, and it might, I'm telling you, like the Hulk in 70s, that fits.
Yep.
But I kind of like the 70s because the Fantastic Four one, it really played into the Silver Age stuff where you can hand wave a lot of stuff and have fun. This one, I think, did get a little bit, not bogged down, but there's a lot of chatter that doesn't mean anything. And I think Jerry Duggan is really trying to play the idea of this being in like, oh, this is a side issue you never read, so I'm going to throw in stuff about other characters that don't really matter. So
have you read a lot of comics from 1977 or 78? This is what they're like.
What I'm saying. This is what they're like, the things that I've read. But I'm saying, like, I think that the charm is more with going back and reading something that's more like the Silver Age, the mid-70s, that does get bogged down a bit by a lot of narration and a lot of over-the-top yelling. But he does get it right. Maybe that's the problem. He gets it too right. But in it, you're just going to keep attacking Godzilla. Godzilla fighting the Mecha Godzillas. In the meantime, they ended up having a kaiju egg kind of,
what's in that egg?
Yeah, and they're yelling, wait a minute. Oh my God, you say that. And oh no, you know what? He didn't have it up. I only have this. There it is. I thought
what's
he had
in that
it up.
egg?
They just ended up recording a little bit ago. So then that's where Dr. Demonicus is like, you thought that I had this, but I had that I was actually making. This is more an incubator, not an incinerator. And Ross, you told me that you would do anything, the magic word, anything. Well, gentlemen, meet anything. And I will admit the one thing. Dr. Demonicus is the best character in this. Like Banner's not great. Like you're just, first off, we're now at, almost page, what is it? I'm looking like we're almost at page 20. It's a little oversized. There ain't no Hulk yet. And that's where my biggest problem was, like sitting there like, all right, let's get the Hulk. It does happen because you have to get him angry. They do say at the bit where you play that he's been meditating. He's learned to control things. Plus, he wants to keep this guise up that Hulk is dead. And whatever he's doing, it's kind of cool. He's on the Thunderbolts as Banner. But then you wonder, why are they going that much to get him if it's just Banner? But still, you end up where, do you think that this Hedorah, do you think it looks like a threat? I don't like it at all. At first I thought it was like, Are we gonna play some weird symbiote shit? Like
what is it? A snake? What is this thing?
It's slime, they say, and it
doesn't have legs or anything. It just floats
that's what
around.
I'm saying. It's the body and splice the most dead. It's almost like the
it's a
idea
monstrosity
that you splice like the most dangerous dinosaurs ever, but you splice it in a way that the thing just falls over. You know what I mean? Because
it doesn't. It's like something that's born without bones. It just kind of like
it says I splice the most deadly and robust traits of all the kaiju we've slain from Fin Fang Foom on down. Death will be our salvation. The thing is, it doesn't look like it can.
It should have been like it should have looked like Fin Fang Foom's like feet or whatever, and a different head,
bunch of different things. And so what it looks like, and I'll tell you, it looks. This is not going to make sense to anybody. What it reminds me of, it looks like Man-Thing. But the emo Man-Thing that has hair like going over everything but that one eye. It looks like some goth Man-Thing that just
Cousin It or something.
Yeah,
it's
like
gross.
and it just comes up, and I'm like, what are you gonna do? I hope that eye has something, because you don't have arms, you don't have legs, you're just there, and it comes out, and they're like, oh my god, and it does go after it, and what it does have is pretty durable when it goes, but I don't even know. Like it looks like it's trying to headbutt. Godzilla at first. Godzilla just blasts them, and then it kind of slaps Godzilla with a tentacle. Mm-hmm. Godzilla is having problems, and the problem is Godzilla falls over and then hits Banner's Mecha Godzilla deal. He can't eject. He might die, and he becomes the Hulk. And that panel looks great. That page looks great when he's jumping out.
Nice. Mm-hmm. That's classic 70s Hulk right there.
Oh, yeah. It's a ripped freaking pants. The idea of I love when they make the joke of like how much he has to pay, in purple pants.
He's the only one buying them. I mean, it's so obvious that he's the Hulk because he's the only guy buying these.
Banner's there, like, you just bought 7 pairs of purple pants.
Where do you even find purple pants?
I don't know. He's like raiding the cupboard of Jimi Hendrix, and is gone by now. But he ends up and he pals the deal. This super kaiju, the Sedora. But he hits him, and then you end up where he's wrestling a tentacle. You end up where Ross is screaming and yelling, almost dies, and Hulk's dialogue is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's doing a lot of the Hulk hate puny Banner. Demonicus realizes at this point that he realized, oh my god, I think Banner's Hulk, because of how that worked and what he saw. But even in that, Hulk ends up going doink to the dice, and he's doing a lot of crazy things. And when he ends up, he saves Ross, but likes to save Ross so he can talk trash on him, which is pretty good. And then just Hulk smash all monsters and just outraged at everything going on, and then goes after the Sedora again. But when he punches him, he ends up getting his hand caught on fire. I'm like, I don't know what this Sedora is, but I still think he's pretty lame. Yeah. But that was crazy. That was
just from
cool.
contact. It did that to him, I
guess. It almost feels like it should be like acid or something. But he punches him like right below the eye, and his arm catches on fire, and then he's Hulk hand hurt, and all that is where you have Dr. Demonicus saying, "You're never going to be able to hurt my child, the Hedorah." I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, the whole thing is he wants to kill all the monsters, but he doesn't do anything with the Godzilla. He just totally avoids him. They're best friends. It's
weird because as he's doing this, he ends up where Hulk decides then, because it looks like Godzilla's dead, and he decides to do the fibrillator in a way where he rips out a bunch of wires and then says, Hulk saw Banner tickle Heart with electricity once, and he defibs Godzilla. I'm like, it's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen, but it's okay. It's kind of funny. That's, again, if you're just going to have fun, I guess it is pretty funny.
And also he's jumping on his heart too, so he's doing both things.
He's bleeding.
And he puts his gamma blood in there.
His blood goes into Godzilla's mouth. And there's what we had last issue where you ended up having Cosmic, the power Cosmic. Mm-hmm. This seems like what we're going to get. I'm telling you, next issue looks like Spider-Man somehow an irradiated
Spider-Man
spider will end up biting Godzilla, or you'll get that. It'll be something ridiculous. But in this, you get hulked out. I mean, humongous hulked out Godzilla that kind of looks more modern suddenly. Yeah. And now Godzilla turns to smash and is just going to destroy this puny deal, which Hulk thinks is hilarious. And you end up where Dr. Demonicus is like, when I was so close, and then kind of gets killed by his own creation.
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, he's done. And it says, he said this would be the last thing he does, and it is. He was right. And that's the only reason why you showed where when Hulk punched that Hedorah, his hand caught on fire, because you have to have not just slime come in, but Dr. Demonicus catches on fire because of that. And it's like, what the heck? Then you have finally, all right, we're gonna, and also Hulk freeze Mothra. And then they're like,
he pulls off the controlling device.
Pulls off the control device of even the what's it called, the other spider. Yeah. So then they come face to face and both fall over when they turn back to what they are. And of course, Godzilla just turns back to a little smaller Godzilla. Banner turns back into Banner. He looks so young suddenly, but Ross says, "I'm going to shoot you. What went on?" And he's like, you know, Rick Jones, who was in that grave. Well, Rick Jones. Oh, so you just duped that guy. And yep. And then Godzilla, what Banner says is, "You better not hurt me because Godzilla likes me and us monsters stick together." And you do have side glance as he's walking away, Godzilla, as if he would do something. If Ross ended up doing
just try it, see what happens.
And then you end with it possibly being some Hedorah.
The end?
On the hand.
It's like symbiote
Ross.
stuff.
Yeah, it looks like the Hedorah stuff. So it's the end, and there you go. I think so, but we're going to continue with the Spider-Man, and you end up where it's Venom, half Venom suit stuff going on, and the Spider-Man
might be tied
cover.
Together somehow.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we'll get the whole Venom deal, and then Godzilla will have some issues. But
the thing that, you know, he killed Hedorah with the radioactive breath, I guess. That always makes me nervous. Anytime I see you see Godzilla's like mouth lighten up.
Oh yeah, it's like when Superman's eyes start glowing. You're like, I'm getting out of here, and then that crazy scream.
It's bad news.
I'm like, get the hell out of here! I'm telling you, the thing in my mind as a kid, it's everything I talk about. Godzilla, while huge, and he was too slow for me. Like he's always lumbering around. He's and everybody's running. It just wasn't fast paced enough for me. Which might sound ridiculous, but that was just how I was. And I mean, I don't know. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I get the Death Star, Darth Vader, all that, but this giant lizard guy, screw this. It makes sense how they came about after the nuclear war and, you know, not nuclear war, but the testing and the nuclear bombs and things like that, where Godzilla kind of, you know, takes it to the streets. But some of the variant covers are pretty cool. I like that. Yeah.
I had to check the artist on them because I'm like, is that like Jack Kirby?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Some of them too. There were some cool ones, and you even have one where he's fighting. It looks like he's fighting
John
Ultraman. Did you see the Ultraman deal? And there's one. I loved Ultraman back in the day, and I don't mean the DC character. I mean the Japanese deal. I did like that, and Johnny Sacco and his flying robot. Which really the pacing was probably the same. They were all like lumbering around nonsense. But yeah, a couple of those I really like. That one that's like on the far right corner of, I have the thing as a full page spread, looks really, really cool. But what would you give it?
I liked it. I just have a problem with the versus part because he never even attacks him.
Yeah,
says even a bad word towards him.
It took a while for him to even be Hulk.
And the Fantastic Four was like that too. They were just friends the whole time. And Godzilla always is kind of he's called a sympathetic character.
That's the problem. Is I think that they don't want, but Hulk would be the one to fight him. Like I know that I don't know that everybody around is going to get upset and say, "Oh, I think that Hulk's a real asshole for fighting Godzilla like that." Like that's why you're getting the issue, and yet you kind of don't want to see him. I do see that one. It looks like Godzilla's like Black Panther. It's a weird deal. It's Andre Bresson, maybe. That one was weird, but some of those.
I'd give this one an 8. I like Giuseppe Camuncoli a lot too, so I was happy to see him on here.
The art was pretty good. I'm
an 8.
Screw it, I'll go 8. That means it's on my best stuff. My best of the week is this. And
what else are you picking? Come on.
Well, that's the thing. I try to make sure that I don't do the idea of, well, it's better than the rest. But I did have fun talking about it, and there's some ridiculous. I actually think it should have been more ridiculous. I think that was the problem, but it was 70s stuff.
I like Dr. Demonicus too. He's cool. I need to check him out.
Cool. I thought he was cool too, and I might actually check out some of those older Godzilla things too, and even going through this and doing some retro stuff. And eventually I may put a retro issue on the Marvel podcast as well, if I can. And maybe even when we don't have a lot to do, we can do it at some point, because we do like that. And it would be kind of cool to do like Godzilla or Rom or something old like that. That would be pretty neat. On the poll, I haven't looked, but on our DC podcast, we do that each week now. Me and Stork, I haven't thrown him a bone. I put a Star Trek comic. I didn't even realize that they had a long run of DC Star Trek comics, and there's one that's supposed to be really, really good, and it's a sequel to a show from the original series that I actually saw out of the blue. Haven't seen all of them. There's not much to see.
Make sure I vote for that one.
Yeah, really. You'll give Stork a little head, a little hand for all the things he's loved about the sword book that he thinks you made him do.
I can't talk to him directly, so I have to talk to him through
true.
you.
That is true. And I did see some people in the Slack, which Stork is not on, actually say that after me and Stork did the first volume of The Sword by the Luna Brothers, went out, him and his girlfriend or wife went out and bought the whole series, loved it.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
Take that, Storky boy.
Yeah.
Look at him over there, probably sitting around with his freaking Leonard Nimoy Spock ears. He can hear everything with those. His Spock ears are itching. But we're going to move on to the book that was from last week that we're not going to do this week. Doctor Strange of Asgard, #2. It's a One World Under Doom tie-in, they say. It's written by Derek Landy, art by Carlos Magno, colors Espen Grutengern, letters by VC's Corey Petit. Me and you did the first one on the show.
Yep.
We didn't love it. We did not love it. We thought that it was like, okay, who wants street level, Asgard? And at that it was, let's stop this bullying. Let's see some arm wrestling on top of bodies. Let's go into a bar. Let's talk about romantic comedies. It was a very odd issue. This one doesn't change that much, but it feels bigger because Doctor Strange is now doing something. And I think that I know you have to set up the mystery, but boy, this one to get to, once you start going, I'm like, okay, I don't mind it. He's, trying to figure out. I like the idea that it plays where Doctor Strange, the way he's doing this is something that really should burn him in the ass by the end, because he's really kind of underhanded about hiding things and whatnot, but he's not guilty. So he's really is trying to protect Loki.
Yeah.
And with that, that's Derek Landy is going to keep telling you in this of the idea that if Thor finds out about this will be the end of the universe. I mean, this is cosmic deal. I'm like, what? Like
Loki's done way worse.
That's
than
what
this.
I'm saying. I'm like every 20 million things. You could keep saying that. Well, this is the last straw.
Yeah, sure.
I ain't believe in it, and I do think, and they even figure that Loki he's innocent as far as Loki even knows. Loki ends up saying, I think I was manipulated. I had the sword. I stabbed her, but I don't remember why or what. And even have some other people in this. Suddenly they have things going and don't realize. So something I think is going on in all of Asgard. But the end of where Doctor Strange is like, yeah, I got to get rid of the corpse. I didn't know what to do. So I ended up turning him invisible. I'll get back to that, but goes to the Sanctum Sanctorum to talk with Clea and also to figure out, what's going on with Loki. So you go there, and this is something that I've been saying and asking since you ended up having this book start and Doom. You didn't get anything with Clea, even to the point where in Hulk last week, you ended up, it looked like they had killed her. But I don't know you can do it that easy. But I like Clea, so I wanted to see her.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, so when you get here, it really just keeps going back and forth. I will tell you, if it is your thing or whatever, they really do go with the they with Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Me and you were talking about it before, and it's one thing, it's like, it really feels, but then again, I think it just sticks out because it's still kind of a deal. But boy, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a different way of looking at it for sure. And I think that they're playing up the fluidity of Loki.
I think it's that, Loki could be whatever and has been. And we even said, we thought that in the first issue, legit, that at point Loki went from male to female back to female at one
Art
point,
changes.
just standing there. It did look like that, so I'm fine. But I'm just bringing it up because I did see some people complain about it. And to me, it does, it throws you at first, but then to me, it's like, okay, I see it. Let's go. And
once it clicks, it's no issues at all.
Yeah, it's just, you sometimes I'm like, oh, well, I said, what is there? Oh, no, it's just lovely, but it's fine. So you end up where they're going, and they really do end up, they have to use this spell to pretty much determine if he's lying, if he isn't. And they realize he isn't. I mean, legit, what he said. It's one of those things you can always play, though. You do this with Wonder Woman, the Lasso a lot. The truth is what you believe. And he doesn't know how any of this happened, but so he definitely thinks and says, I didn't mean to do it. I did do it, but I didn't mean to do it. And he doesn't know how or what he's been possessed. But one of the things in my mind is that that's pretty big for Loki to be tricked into this. And this is something that I think is affecting a bit more of Asgard as well. In the meantime, you end up where Doctor Strange has to go back to Asgard to figure this out. Clea's like, smell you later, maybe to be drained of blood in the Hulk deal, the way that it would play up. But you end up going, and I don't know, some of the things going on and some of the deal, even when you get this Hulk guy, and I believe, the Hulk's like, why would you want me? I'm more of the guy who could write you a love poem that's funny and all this. And Doctor Strange is desperate. But one of the things when this Hulk says, if I was going to kill somebody, I'd kill this Elfer. This guy's a jerk. And then the guy go by and go, hey, Holt. And he goes, hey, Elfer. Maybe that was a really good joke.
That's pretty funny.
They did not have that last issue. Like, that is actually great timing for a joke as well, the way it went. And he doesn't even miss a beat. He just says it and then starts talking. But again, this was the guy, romance, comedy sort of thing, whatever. But he says, I don't know that I can really help you here. That's not my forte. And Doctor Strange is kind of desperate. And what this Holt says is, I think you should work on getting a job because you're going to end up having to, pay some rent and things that they said. Now, the weird thing is he's already, and he doesn't really say, he just says, I need your help with a mystery. He's like, that's not my thing. Yeah. But again, he kind of was going to get a job. He was going to be the Sorcerer Supreme of Asgard. That fell through because the lady died, but he goes to see this doctor.
I like this guy,
This
too.
is good, too. I mean, actually, this issue has more humor than last in the idea where he's like, well, your name's Strange, huh?
He said, your name's Strange? I can't even pronounce that.
And then Dr. Strange goes, you just did. It's just the word strange. And he's like, nope, I don't know that, Dr. Tiny Man. And then he's like, I'm the same size as you. And he's like, nope, Dr. Tiny Man. And he does end up saying, why would I want to hire you? Would you be? And it's Dr. Strange and, the surgeon deal. And he says, no, I'm pretty good with this. So he does end up hiring him. And you end up going through that day of him, the daily life of the Doctor Strange doctor in Asgard, where this guy's like, I lost my foot and I got everybody has axes in their heads and things like that. It was funny. And it ends up going again. It's not going to make you think that this book is the greatest thing ever, but this had a better tone to it. And I think it was a little tighter than the first issue, because then you end up having that woman come in that we met before. And it's like, Dr. Tiny Man, despite your diminutive stature
you
and
got the
impossible
job
to pronounce name, you have got the job. So he's like, okay. And Roskva comes in. And that's the woman who is I guess, not married, but kind of married, the partner of the other guy who wanted to be the sorcerer. I do think that Holt and this guy, there might be still too many characters for no reason, but
yeah, maybe
she comes in because then she's talking about the other guy, Gorm, who ended up stabbing her by accident. And that's the thing. Gorm does kind of say, I don't know what happened. It just ended up there. I think that something's going on that might be messing with
because he stabbed like a steak knife into her back.
Yeah, and doesn't really know why. He's confused about it. And she's like, whatever, this happens. And again, the setup is that half the people have axes in their heads and stuff. So it works. But I do think that that's part of it, right? The idea that they're getting not mad, but somebody's controlling things to go. And she's going to get help. But then this whole, again, I think that Derek Landy gets a little off track at points because we're dealing with this thing, and
how
suddenly,
did she get her name?
Yeah, and then it's a newer name, and it's Gorm says, "Oh, the Troll Strangler," or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, that's a strange name." It's because we're doing this and we're fighting these trolls, and then this guy snuck back, and it has to be that something with troll magic or whatever has to be doing. I don't know why you would do this. Right?
Did you notice she's naked fighting the trolls at the bottom of the pages there?
She's completely nude, just jumping around and bashing people in. Like, they were ripping her clothes off one article at a time. At one point, it's fun. Dr. Strange, you want a scar? And she's like, what do you mean? I can make you have a scar. I heard warriors. Yeah, I want to do it so I can yell at Gorm, make him feel bad. But okay. Yeah. And then through this, did we need Roskva's vaccine? Maybe. But says, you should go see my partner, who was the guy before. This would be the guy that maybe Dr. Strange would have sought out right away, because he's the one that took him to, where the woman got killed. But you end up, and then through the rest of the story, it's pretty much them going through and wondering where she is, the whole thing. And this guy's like Aslak, and which sounds, I think I did say Affleck before, but the idea of where this woman was. She was supposed to show up for this farming council, and they're trying to like play the idea, well, maybe she didn't want it, but she's dead. And finally, and it's Hulda. Dr. Strange says, here's the deal, Hulda's dead. And they're like, oh, okay. And, he does say, could I see the body? Can we figure it out? And they end up wrapping her up and kind of side burying her quick. But the whole play of Loki, the play of we can't really, we have to figure this out, or cosmic. It's just this whole thing. And then Doctor Strange just gets attacked. I mean, all this is like, hey, see you later, dude. Okay, well, I got to get to work. And then gets attacked by this barbarian with this crazy axe. They fight it out. And then at the end, Doctor Strange is able to, chase the guy away, zap him, and then get this axe. And it says, my first clue. I'm like, all right. Like, maybe at the end of the second issue, we should have more than just this first clue, but I don't even know what the deal is. But I think it's like Frost Troll or Giant or something like that, but we'll see. But there was some fun to it.
Yeah, the first half until the axe part was a little weird, but anything before that, I like.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing at the end, it's a long fight, and it's to show that Doctor Strange really, there's things in this that I think are very telegraphed of what they're doing. Okay, you have to see that Doctor Strange, even without magic, because the magic itself, and he's like, I've had no magic before. Haven't you read that Mark Waid awful run? And then you end up with this axe. And he's like, I think I have a clue. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on.
I think that Affleck or Aslak or whatever seems suspicious.
He seems sus. When he really wanted to go see the body and then see, I think he might be. I think that the play is, then again, but I like his partner, the lady. So I feel bad, but I think that he's mad that he is never, and says that the Holder or whatever her name was like a real bitch. Like, nobody liked her. And like, hey, did she have enemies? What? She only had enemies because she was a real jerk. But I think he's jealous because he is, at one point somebody's like, oh, there he is, the apprentice forever, something like that.
Yeah,
and he can't grow facial hair. Remember that? So yeah, I think there might be problems with him.
He looks a little too fancy for
Asgard. He's a little
Asgard
sus
too.
To me. Yeah, and I think that he's just. Then again, the red herring would be that it would be him because he's jealous or whatnot. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what's going on, and a character like that could be. Well, then I went to the dark side because it was easier. Who knows? But we'll see. What would you give it?
I like this one. Like you said, it's better than the last issue. 7.5 for me.
Yeah,
for
I'm a
this one.
7. And
okay.
Legit, when I was reading it, like those couple things in a row, they were pretty funny. Like I actually did laugh at the deal, which is pretty good. But that is it for me and you.
I like when that kind of stuff pops up in TV shows or whatever, or in real life if you're lucky.
It was a very good, like a cinematic way of doing it. The way that the panels went, and he's just bitching about this guy, and then the guy just happens to interrupt him and say, "Hey, old hey, I'm like, oh god, I wanted the idea where he would think that Doctor Strange is sort of that was him, but that was pretty fun. So yeah, I'm going 7. You 7.5.
Yeah,